Hello, hello. Everybody hear me? Somebody give me a emoji of some sort, like a fist, if you can hear me. I don't see any fists. Maybe I should Slack my team and see if I am being heard. Oh, there's some fists. There we go. Okay. Cool. All righty. Welcome, everybody. It's Friday, our bi-weekly Twitter space. Thanks, everyone, for fisting. So let's see. State of the Union. Couple of updates. Not much external sharing going on Photo Finish 2 this week. We had a lot of progress internally. So we have our Photo Finish website being worked on, and you can now, at least internally, join a race. You can sign up, log in, all kinds of cool progress there. So before we leave for the holiday next week, we're hoping that we're all going to be able to enter some races against each other. There's a lot of infrastructure stuff we've had to do up too, like set up various environments, various servers, all that kind of stuff. We continue to work on the breeding tool for the studs and the fillies, and not changing it, not the previewer, but the actual system that will run when we release it to you all. And that was a big milestone yesterday, is that one of our lead engineers was able to mint a brand new NFT by combining two PFPs together. And that new NFT was a horse ticket. So yeah, progress going along really well. Unless anyone on my team thinks that there's something else I'm missing and they can Slack me as well, then otherwise I think we can just jump into some Q&A. I'm pretty wrecked, pretty exhausted. So if we could do 30 minutes today, that'd be great. But for people who don't know, I had to fly to Tennessee yesterday and then drive home, drive back to Florida, my wife's elderly grandparents. So that was quite a journey. It took about 12 and a half hours. It normally takes 10. They brought their little dog. It was something. So I'm fried. So anyway, excuse my shortness if I'm a little grumpy today. Hopefully I'm getting through okay. But yeah, we'd be happy to take any questions at this point, and put up your hand or whatever, and I'll answer anything I can. And then after that, we'll just go enjoy our weekend. Or no one will, yeah, this happens every time. I always say, oh yeah, no requests, and then a bunch come in. But hey, maybe there's no requests today. I'll give it a minute. 10 seconds, 20. I could put on hold music. Nope, I got one. Darn. All right. Austin, here we go. We're gonna add you as a speaker. Hey there.
Hey, what's going on, man? Hey,
What's up?
got a couple of questions. We got 3 people that are in this, so we just did one request. Here, you want to start off, DJ? Or you want me to start?
You can start.
All right. So basically, like with the horses, so like we're trying to mint all these, basically kind of same thing that everybody's trying to do, whitelist and all that. Trying to figure out kind of like what we need to do to get basically to the top. You know,
to get to the top.
We got to get to the top, baby. We got to get to the top.
I mean, to get to the top is to get the most rare stud and the most rare filly. That's the number one way. The next easiest way, if that's too cost prohibitive, is to try and find the best deal on the floor for, say, a stud, and then find a bunch of matching fillies that maybe give you a nice spread of attributes in the race horses. And then another way, I guess, is just to accumulate the floor, and then utilize that for the upcoming allocations of crown of the token. So There's all kinds of different strategies, but yeah, I mean, if you want to have the best racehorse in the game, then you should get the best PFPs in the game, right? That's the best way
Okay.
to do it right now.
Okay. So when you're trying to get, I'm still learning all this stuff, to be honest with you, man. I really don't even know kind of what I'm asking you. I'm trying to ask you something that makes sense, but it's
It's a valiant effort.
Do what?
It's a valiant effort.
Yeah,
I
right.
appreciate it.
All right, so like we were talking earlier today, me and the group, and we were talking about the male and the female horses, the races, all that you can breed the horses, do the 5 times and stuff. I don't understand kind of really what that means of what we got to do to get that done.
Sure. I mean, so just as a top level explanation, I suppose the pictures, the PFPs, right now, the stylish studs and fine fillies
Yep.
are a separate collection of NFTs, and you can breed them together, and they will generate a actual racehorse for you. And that racehorse is what would be entering the racehorse ecosystem, from that point forward.
Okay.
So you can wait until those are out, once the racehorses are out, and you could just get a racehorse and not even have to worry about the PFPs, the pictures. That's one way to do it as well. I mean, I imagine that's going to be, probably January, maybe February, where we'll be able to have people just trading the racehorses out on the open market. And so yeah, that I would just, dig in, jump into Discord. There's an FAQ channel, stuff like that, and you guys can learn some more and then hit me up on the next one, and I'll answer some more questions. But
All right.
appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Okay. Stins 31. Connecting. Waiting. Put the hold music back on. Yep. You there? Nope. I had another one. And then if you come online, I'll mute one or the other. But okay. Kizobi. Hello. You there? Kizobi?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up?
Oh
my gosh. Go ahead again, Kizobi, if you're there.
Okay. My question is, in between the time of the initial game launch and then the mobile game, I believe, is there no training during that time?
Good question. Yeah, correct. Yeah, I think the only thing that will be happening is just sort of fatigue would be happening once they race. Knock down their if you want to call it that, their energy level, their rest level, and that would just replenish on a clock, over time. So throughout the day, they'd be getting more and more rested, and but you can imagine just sort of injecting that mobile game experience into that delay. After they race, they're tired, and then maybe their form is high or maybe it's low, and they need a little bit of training. But yeah, there would be no form type of attributes, training form attributes until the mobile app comes out.
Gotcha. And then so will our overhead be just like entry fees for the races then, since we're not really having to pay for training or any like food or whatever that will entail?
Yeah, I imagine so. I don't think there's any like extra maintenance cost or anything like that. And that does seem like something that once the whole maintenance and form and training comes to line, that's where that would be sort of figured out. So it'll be a work in progress for a while, a few months there while we try and add some extra features so that it's not just only racing and breeding. But yeah, I don't think there'd be any extra cost at the beginning.
Awesome. All right, cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the hard work.
Oh, thanks, man. Good question. All right. Let's see here. The commish. Is the commish online?
Hey, Ian. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how are you?
Excellent. So I've been having a lot of conversations with people who have large stables, obviously, and it's likely that a lot of these large stable owners will not be able to manage their entire stables, and so I've been very interested in partnering with some of the prior HRM players Can you elaborate at
Mm.
all on, some sort of non-custodial management of assets or anything that you guys have in mind along that front?
Yeah, so we haven't, built anything for that, but we've been talking to a company that, is kind of a yield guild games competitor, and they were walking us through some of the options that they have, and in essence, they seem to manage the custodial wallet, and someone that's an owner can give a typical like a username and password to someone, and that person then wouldn't have actual like wallet access to buy, sell, trade, but would be able to do operations on those assets in the wallet. And so that type of system seems like it's good. And and we've talked with them about if we need to do any custom stuff on our end, that we would absolutely be able to help support it. But it seems like the majority of the tech is there on their end. That in essence you'd be able to sign up on their site and donate your stable, like as many as you want, and then those are safely held by the site, and people can then use them in the game. So but yeah, I don't really know the exact inner workings of that, but it does seem like that's something that we'll be able to get working pretty quickly once we integrate with them. Does that answer your question? Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Like anything else, seeing it live will be the true test. But as long as it's on the roadmap and you guys are thinking about that, because again,
Yeah.
like just like in real life, right? If we're trying to mimic real life, the horse owners don't manage the
feed them.
stables.
Yeah, they don't go clean the shit out of the stable. Right. Yeah, and not that the horse racing manager people they're still they're much more the trainer, I guess. Yeah, rather than the stable boys. Yeah, I think that it should work out. I mean, assuming they've got what they say they've got, which is this ability to manage assets in the wallet without being able to sell them. You can't empty the wallet, you can't do anything like that, but you have the right to utilize it. Then I think that should work out. Cool. Okay. Sure shot. I recognize that. Recognizing a few folks here. Sure shot.
Okay. Thanks, Ian. So after we get the breeding event, am I understanding that Photo Finish website will have the marketplace from then on?
Yeah, so I think the tickets, that you guys see right now, those are going to be freely tradable, like on Magic Eden, right? Or on wherever else, Exchange Art, all that stuff. When it comes time for the game to start, and you trade in the ticket, and you turn it into, that actually starts racing. That would be some process where I guess you burn the ticket and you get, a racehorse. That racehorse is, as of right now, we hope entirely on our website, closed off. Some possible way to move it out, we don't know exactly yet, but we're just trying to make sure that that's like sort of on our site, the marketplace makes sense. You can see the stats of the horse, you can see the genealogy of the horse, you can see all kinds of in-depth details of the horse that you would not see on Magic Eden or or Solana Art or whatever. So that's the idea. But I guess the ticket though would be definitely still open and tradable and movable. And to be honest, the racehorse might also be tradable and movable, but we're trying to do that internally. I think that's a better user experience. It makes more sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in the marketplace being dynamic, like you said, with all the kind of stats that we might be interested in. And then the idea that, I don't know, like in real horse racing, where you might have certain big event, like big.
Oh, I think I lost you. Certain big something.
Say
again. Certain.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I think you cut out there, but you said certain big events.
Like auction events instead of just.
Oh, yeah.
Where.
Yeah, that actually came up too. Is that that's the primary way of horses moving around in real life is the auction, rather than like just everyone trying to go find horses all the time. They have these big events and random weeks of the year, and a ton of the stuff moves around. So I kind of like that too, that you're not having to try and just sell every day. It's like, no, there's a huge auction coming up next Wednesday through Thursday, and all the horses that want to be for sale can be put in that auction everybody's looking at it at the same time. I think that'd be kind of cool, bidding on it, So yeah, I think that's neat.
All right, cool. Thanks for the insight.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, Dinga. Oh man. Did I say it right? Is it Dinga or is it something? Should I pronounce it different?
It's Dinga.
Okay.
Hey, mate, how's it going?
Close enough. Good.
Hey, just had a question around the breeding preview. Is there going to be more information released prior to the breeding event where we'll see the scalability between grades and exactly how far those bars and what they represent?
I don't think so. That's a great question. I know people are, that obviously is what's caused a bunch of the confusion and uncertainty yesterday. It's just people thinking, well, the number 1 horse bred with the 10 horse versus the 150 horse is identical. And it's not true. Obviously you play horse racing manager, those little radials and how they fill, as a minimum S versus a maximum S is quite a bit different.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We purposely tried to make it easy to understand. And, of course, like maybe we moved a little too far, and then now the hardcore folks are like, don't have enough information there. And so they're confused. Whereas, obviously all we wanted to do is not confuse people. We didn't want to have all that level of granularity. And then I think we also wanted to make sure that if for whatever reason, 1 million people, or let's say 5,000 people all bred a right turning grass horse with the same sort of bars, that we could end up spreading out that genome a little bit after the fact. So it might actually change a little from what the ticket said, but I also don't want to do that at all. Like I want the ticket to be really much like exactly what you see is what you get. So I think the way to do that is to keep it a little bit keep it accurate, but also have a range. Just keep it sort of like it's going to have the bonus. It's going to have the maximum amount of bonuses. But there is wiggle inside of that based on how rare and how good the horses were. So yeah, I don't think we're going to update it. I guess is my long answer to that.
Okay, all good. Just the other thing was on the Gen 0 horses. Are they going to look like the HRM horses where you've got the stats and the bars, or will they be different?
So I think the visual representation will be definitely similar to Horse Racing Manager, yeah. In terms of, you would see how far into the, grade they are. It'll look different, but same concepts, I suppose, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. No, awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, man. Alrighty. Adding Balan. Slowly. I'll just keep playing this. Balan, are you there? Oh, there we go.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, it's me, Bob.
Oh, Bob, how are you?
Yeah, fine. Actually, what do you call that? It's about 4 a.m. here, so just decided to just stay up to have just to listen to what's going on. Actually, it's good to hear from you, Ian. Actually, in fact, I sent you a message earlier, but I think you're pretty busy after hearing that you've been traveling all around. And you're pretty
just getting caught back up. Just for those that don't know, Bob has been playing Horse Racing Manager for 3-4 years now, I suppose.
From the time you started, I guess, when you similarly in this photo finish, you are starting from lower grades B minus. That's when I started with Horse Racing Manager.
Nice.
Managed to win the championship quite a number of times.
Yeah. There's probably the commish would probably like to recruit you for future gameplay. But, do you have any questions I can help you with? I know it's tough because I haven't.
No, it's okay. Actually,
I saw your message.
fact, I how shall I say? I've jumped into this wagon pretty late, so I missed out on the stylish starts, drop, and the fine filly, but managed to slowly acquire them. I just want to know something then. after the great mating season when all the studs and fillies mate, now currently we have to, how shall I say, if you need a filly, you have to go and marketplace and buy a filly. These fillies are now costing at a floor price of about 4.8 sold, 5.5 sold previously. So it's quite a bundle, especially if you take into the amount concerned. But these fillies can only be bred once. I hope I am correct. After the great mating season, when the corridor opens in the first quarter of 2022, right?
That's right. Yep.
So what I want to know is, you see, fine fillies and the studs do cost quite a sum of money to purchase. After the original Gen 0, after when all of them have been bred, from what I've read so far, I stand corrected because I have not been really reading much only recently, and I jumped the crypto wagon only now. So everything seems to be quite new to me. So I may sound a bit ridiculous. Please forgive me.
No, you're good.
So after the Gen 0, what happens to the studs and the fillies, Ian? Because
Yeah, I can try and help you out there. So I remember I'm looking back at your question too. You'd kind of asked, is it a good idea to buy a filly and stud now? And as well as what happens to them. So, if you happen to get studs and fillies now, of course, if you have one of each, then you can breed a generation 0.
Yeah.
And I don't really know, and I don't want to even guess, like, will it be cheaper right now to get a stud and a filly versus buying a generation 0 ticket on the marketplace?
Yes.
I would tend to think the generation 0s will be more expensive because they will be really understandable. We will have more marketing and there'll be fewer of them. There'll be, only 5,000 maximum. There's probably going to be much less than that. There's probably only going to be 4,000 or 4,500 that get bred. A bunch will just get forgotten.
Yeah, I guess. Yes.
As of right now, you can kind of get, these studs and fillies, albeit at a high price. I agree with you. I mean, it's not cheap, but I think it's maybe cheaper, but I don't know for sure. But then, what they do if you do get them is that they do have utility and value, especially for someone that's playing the game. So if you're holding on to certain amounts of them, then you're getting extra reports and breeding information while you're playing the game. So
as well as airdrops, I guess.
And then the token is, of course, what the majority of the people I think are most interested in is that we will have our own token out there that would be getting airdropped every season. So anytime a new season rolls over, everyone that's holding the PFPs would get tokens. So there's value over time.
Yeah. Because coming from a country like Malaysia, in my case, an Asian country, one soul works out to be about roughly 800 ringgit. So about 5 soul is almost 4 grand here, Ian. So that, yes, take it from me. Yeah. It's a huge sum. 4 grand can actually buy you quite a big stuff here, So trying to buy a fine filly now will almost cost me about 4 to 5,000 Malaysian ringgit. So what I'm sorry I'm taking up some of your time, a lot of time. It's just that after purchasing this particular filly at that particular amount, then I will be able to breed once. Then that filly will not be of not much use, but it will just be another filly in my collection, right?
Yeah, well, and she would be getting the tokens, right?
So tokens will, right? Yes.
So yeah, she does lose. She's only going to generate the one, racehorse. But she can also, be part of that. So yeah, I really honestly don't know. I mean, I think there's also a chance, I don't want to say which way or the other, there's a chance that once everyone breeds, that hypothetically the B- and the, B- level racehorses might go cheap. I don't know. I mean, maybe everyone only wants the S horses. But I don't know. I tend to think the racehorses will be more expensive than the combined stud and filly right now, but I honestly, it's hard to know. But it seems like that they will have very clear utility. It'll be very easy to understand that they're going to start racing and they're going to have breeding fees, all that stuff. So I think you know. So,
but
anyway.
My last question, Ian. Let's say if you have one stud and one filly, after the first initial, quarter of breeding, will these two that has been bred and they are retired, will they be able to breed again?
No. The filly, once she's bred, is done.
She's done. How about the stud?
The stud, we probably are going to have to lock out, any filly that's not bred by some certain date. We will have to just not allow to breed, because we can't have generation 0 horses showing up like a year and a half from now.
I see. Okay, I get it now. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Bob. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
All right, let's see. All right, next, Secretariat. Oh, that's a good name. Or Yat, I suppose. I'm gonna add you. Hey there. Secretariat. Oh, bolted. Dang. This is a close one. I like that.
Hello, I'm here.
Oh, sorry. There you are. Sorry. Okay. What's up?
Just a question. I just want to make sure I understand the breeding mechanics. You actually have to own both the stud and the filly, right? You can't, there's no arranged breeding. In other words, you'd have to have both of them in your wallet, and you breed your own horses together.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. That's a simple question. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you hear the rumblings that there's these DAOs and other people are trying to kind of do a studding operation, but that means they're going to have to transfer them into one wallet. So there's a lot of trust. You can't. There's nothing built. There's no contract or anything where you can say, oh yeah, you can use it and then give it back. It has to be purely human trust.
Got it. Yeah, I think I heard you talking on one of the spaces with that DAO.
Yeah.
Okay. That was it. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. I will comment on that a little bit for anyone that's here. A lot of it has been made of this, and some folks are rightfully nervous or anxious about this notion. And so what we're seeing happening is that a few DAOs are going out and buying the top-ranked stud that they can afford or that's available. And they're kind of telling their members, hey, if you do some small action or you pay us some smaller amount, you can breed with this stud. So there's sort of this trust system that helps, like what I mentioned before, so that you're not having to try and find some stranger that says, oh, yeah, totally, give me your filly. I'll totally send it back. But in the DAO case, as I mentioned on some previous ones, and we'll sort of reiterate here, there's of course some value in that, that it maybe you're able to spread the cost across all the members, because they can all utilize the stud and get a high grade, S level or S minus level horses. And for the flippers out there, that hypothetically, allows you a much higher grade horse when you want to sell it, because otherwise you're out there trying to hustle your way to get a horse, and maybe you're going to get an A or a B or A plus or B minus or whatever. So now you can get an S because you're able to use the DAO's stud, right? So short term, that I think that is a strategy for sure, but long term, I think I just want to reiterate that it's a little sus and a little risky for a large group to do that. And again, I really kind of don't care. I mean, I know people act like that, we're really worried that, the genome is going to be messed up because there's going to be all these siblings. I really am not all that worried about that. We can solve any of those problems, but I'm just trying to kind of give people the perspective that what that means is that you have obviously bred all brothers and sisters inside of your DAO, and you've limited your potential for breeding because you can't really effectively breed brothers and sisters together, because that's gross. And because it will negatively affect their attributes. We have inbreeding penalties when you do things like that. So the smart breeders out there would, not want to do something like that. It also means you'd all be competing against each other, so you'd have a very concentrated group of horses that are all kind of good at the really similar thing. And, so I think that would, again, restrict your gains for the future. You know, these horses aren't just the flip of the Gen Zero ticket. The horse is the fact that it races for a year and then it breeds for another year. You know, there's a lot of long-term hypothetical value out of a good racehorse, and so it's sort of a little bit short-sighted to do that, but also, you know, people can do it. I'm not worried about it breaking the whole ecosystem or anything like that. Obviously, there in real life there are studs that have. I mentioned it this morning. The Uncle Mo has 2,500 children right now. It's obviously a real life thing. When there's a great stud, people breed with it, and that's what we kind of wanted to, you know, build in part of this thing, is make a little game out of these little pictures. So anyway, it's just something to keep in mind that, you know, hypothetically you could be a little bit, you know, limiting yourself. I see Kamish, you got a question? You want to just drop in? Yeah.
Yeah, no question. I just wanted to formally announce that I have hired Dinga to be my chief racing officer.
CRO?
Dinga and I have been in conversations for about a month now, and really respect his thought process. And we actually put a whole contract together, so we're really treating this like a business. Wow. And if there's other people out there who want support or visibility into how we approached it, we're 100% happy to help and kind of kickstart getting other people hooked up with some of these HRM racers who, you know, have a lot of experience. And, you know, listen, I'll give my alpha, and my alpha is simple. I'd rather have this guy on my team than compete against him. And if you're in a position where, you know, and if you're in a position where you have a big stable and you really think that, you know, this game can be what we all think it can be, my recommendation would be to really think about who you want to partner with and how you do that selectively.
That's amazing. I'm going to play a theme song for you guys. I guess I should celebrate this. This is amazing. And how long have you been in discussions again, Kamish?
Yeah, let's go. We've been talking for about a month. I think I sent the contract over to Dinga about a week and a half ago.
Wow. Oh, gosh. I love it. Building some real life relationships here. It's pretty cool. All right. Let me find someone else next. All right. Congrats, you guys. Raven Multiverse. Here we go. We're going to add you next. Oh, yeah, I know Raven. You guys are the escrow people. I think that's what they do. Raven. Mm-hmm. Good.
So I'm part of a DAO that owns. I'm on the council of a DAO that owns the #2 stud. And we also, I mean, of course, you know, the strategy that makes sense for everybody, including those DAOs that have those high end horses, is, like you said, not to inbreed, or you end up kind of draining down the gene pool, right?
A little bit, yeah. Mm-hmm. Nope.
Oh, sorry, I had to. Sorry, my kids were making too much racket in the back. So,
yep.
You know how it is. So what I was saying was, we're, I guess one of the ways to make sure that my channel Raven, we're an escrow and an auction house, and I'm on the council for Solings. So what we're trying to do to kind of alleviate some of that, or at least this is what we're nothing's for sure. These are just ideas and things we've talked about. None of this is done, but we've created sort of a stable over on Raven's channel, so that we're kind of like advertising. It's almost like a personals ads for horses that we have like on the channel. So like if you guys want to mate, if you're looking for high-end horses to mate, you can come over onto Raven's channel and go to our stable, and you can post your horse and, you know, say, hey, I'd like to mate, DM me or whatever. And that way you guys can network with people. It helps everybody, so that we can kind of keep the genes, like you guys said, it kind of avoids an issue with everybody and not too much inbreeding within a DAO. And it also gives people outside the DAO access to these high-end studs. So, you know,
I see.
So might be something to consider, or kind of like these barns or stables or whatever. And we're happy to do it on our channel. Some people have already reached out to us asking us to maybe, like, if they co-own horse, they want to end up co-owning the foal. They've asked us to maybe hold it for a bit or do some kind of escrow. We don't know. They asked us. We're like, I don't know. We don't have enough information to really know if that's going to be like feasible, you know. So, but it's just an option or a thought. And I think having these like horse dating sites like might help people connect, you know. So like that's what kind of we called it Only Studs. But
Only
yeah, the
Studs,
channel.
yep.
So if you get
I tried to buy that the other day. And it was already
oh
taken.
really? Oh dang! But
OnlyStuds.com.
that would have been a good move. Yeah. Well, we're I think we have the stable or whatever, and we have a little description. But if anybody, we have the number two stud, and we're strategizing about what to do as well. So you know, it's interesting to have these talks and hear about it.
Cool. Well, yeah. Thanks, Raven. I mean, again, I don't want to discourage anybody doing what they want to do. I just want to tell them to make sure they're safe. You know, like if in this transaction, of course, if Raven in your software has escrow abilities, then those are the things that you should definitely have people be looking at. You know, because I think it's such a crazy thing to trust someone to have your Philly and hold it. That's obviously a big deal.
Yeah, 100%. We would. That's
Yeah.
why we told them like we're not really sure we could necessarily do that, but we could totally put up like a dating site where people can just say, "Hey, I've got a Philly, reach out to me" or whatever. And yeah, always have a head on you. But I mean, mating is mating, right? You're gonna come to this kind of. Is there some kind of an issue at some point? I suppose. But I guess it's just a way for people to connect. It would be like great, some kind of a horse personals.
Yeah, the social ads. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Anyway, all right. Yeah, we're just so you know, we are kind of an old school. We've been playing this since for a little bit, and we're sponsored by like some of the bigger players in here, like Digitalize and NeoNexus and others. So we're not like it's safe for the most part, but you always have to be careful because the person could be anybody could be a scammer in the face. Of course. So watch out, guys. But thanks a lot.
Yep. All right. Habitual Gamer is up next. Hola. ¿Qué te pasa? Habitual, are you there? CNT1223, are you there? Mm-hmm. I add JD in here, and then if you come up Habitual, I'll get you. JD, can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hey, what's up?
Hi, so just a quick question for you. On the roadmap, it shows USD totals for entry fees. Do you have any plans to integrate credit and debit card payments into the game, or is it going to be completely soul-based?
I'm very hopeful that we have fiat payment options. Yeah, for sure. So, everything will actually be taken out in Derby. If you look back at the tokenomics, like every part of the in-game transactions will actually be the Derby token. So on those mocks on our website, that would likely just be a filter where you could toggle between show me how much this costs in Derby versus show me how much it costs in USD, just to get an idea. But yeah, Derby would be the official transaction that is taken. But then my hope is that, you could get Derby right there on the site, buy in with credit card instead of having to do a lot of the complicated crypto things. Trying to increase the UX, as best we can. Good question. Okay, looks like we're rolling out. Anybody got anything? Oh, Secretary, you got something?
Yeah, I was just thinking of a couple more.
Sure.
Questions. Also breeding related. The breeding period for the initial with the PFPs is going to be how long roughly?
I don't know, but I was kind of just my rough guess was a month.
Okay.
I guess it's like if we end up going late on the tool being ready, then it would. I just don't want to. I don't want to like jeopardize the release of the game if the game was like good and all that. But yeah, so that's why we're trying to get it done as soon as possible. And like I said, it's working on DevNet now, so that's really exciting. But yeah, I would hope that mid to late January we could release it, and that means you've got a good month of breeding time, and then that means maybe there's a good month. So maybe by Valentine's Day, everybody's got to be done. It'd be kind of funny, then there's a good month there of people trading the actual tickets around. But yeah, something along those lines, and then the game would be ready late March. So,
so along that line of thinking, then, so theoretically, I don't have a particularly valuable stud, but if I did, I could breed that stud and then I could sell it, correct? Because the studs can keep on breeding. With the filly, once you breed it, I mean, you can still sell it, but you can't sell it for any purposes other than as the PFP going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the last question. I hope it's the last one. As far as the PFPs go, you had talked about like the rarity affecting the value of that as well after the fact. Is that this question is post breeding? So I'm just wondering, like, if you have any thoughts or insights as to, like, how a floor stud versus a rare filly or something like that in terms of the ecosystem going forward.
Yeah, so I was just trying to start working on some of that math a little bit more. Again, we talked about in the last space that, we've got 15,008 total horses in our collection, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you plotted them in like a nice linear line, and, the number one rarity one gets, I'm just going to say 1 crown just for ease of use. And then the lowest rarity, the 15,008th one, gets 0.1 crown. You could hypothetically just linearly blend between, and that's how much each horse gets on the airdrop for ease of math. Again, those are not real numbers. But as I was looking in that, that's not how the market has priced these things. It's not linear. It's like, this huge curve up there at the top. And so then I thought, well, should we be doing an airdrop in the curve, basically match the floor curve, which shows a big spike up there to the top ones all the way down, or is that too complicated? So I started, of course, going in circles, but the answer is, I suppose, that I don't have the real answer for you yet, but I'm, of course, thinking about it and trying to tune and come up with a really good, clear way to signify and how much rarity is worth in the crown.
Yeah, it's interesting because the rarity also is being used in terms of the breeding and creating the horses. So, do you double capture the rarity, or do you capture some of it, but then bring it down a little bit when it comes to that? So, those are.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely leaning towards the linear, so that rarity does matter, but it doesn't matter in an exponential way, the way that it does now. But I was also just sort of like, well, that's not what the market does. But you're right, it would be then double exponential. You'd have like an S horse, which is, way up the curve, and you would also be getting, 3x the amount of crown drop, which is maybe a little too much. So I think there was someone the other day asking, like, oh, if I have a rank 599 stud, should I get that versus a rank 601 stud, for the token drop? And it's like, those should not be far apart. Those types of numbers should not really matter at all in the grand scheme of things, decimal fraction points. So
yeah, I mean, usually, right, it's only at the real top end of the rarity curve that the prices kind of start going crazy.
Yep.
But that matters for breeding, because those are the ones that are going to be super, super valuable for breeding purposes, especially with the studs, because they could breed, multiple times.
Yep. So yeah, still something in progress, I suppose. But yeah, good question. I mean, I got to get this stuff ironed out ASAP.
Okay.
We're still working on it, but yeah.
I thought you were going to give me a nice, perfect, easy answer, and that all my problems would be solved.
Yeah, I'll send you the formula I'm thinking of.
All right, thank you.
Sure. All right, we got about hopefully maybe 5-10 minutes left. I've got a couple more here. Let's see. Issa Hodl. Add. Nice Darth Vader PFP there. Looks pretty good. Issa, is that right? Are you there? I'm not hearing anything. Are you there, Issa? Okay, I'm going to kings and aces. Yeah. Hey.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. My question was related to the further down the line for the mobile game. I remember you said last time someone had asked about the kind of little arcade games about keeping the horse fed and trained and informed, like in HRM. And my question was, is that going to truly affect the potential of the horse within the races, or is that something to keep people entertained while they're not racing?
It's not built yet, but in my head, I really, really, really loved the thought that someone that's good at the game would make their horses faster, like good in their skill, because that's the point of video games often.
Right.
And, like just for example, back on one of the Maddens that I worked on, I can't remember exactly which one, you had to run a combine. You had to go to the NFL combine and you ran your 40-yard dash, right? And you did 2 shots at it, and whatever you did on the mechanics was the speed of your player. And I always found that like really, really cool because it had, some real stakes in the game. It was like a real sort of pressure moment that you had to execute on. Right. And so I kind of like that of like, oh, you got this moment here where you're going to go breeze the horse. And if you screw it up, then, it lost a little bit of value. If you do a great job, then now you're sort of known as this great trainer and you can get more value for the horses. So I really do love that idea of getting more arcade mechanics to have some impact to their value and to their speed and to their attributes, even if it doesn't like make them faster, because that's sort of maybe a little bit much. It could just, increase the rate of recovery. It could do things that, gives you an advantage, that they're able to race more often, don't lose as much fatigue, things of that nature, as opposed to like straight raw numbers like, oh, now he gained 3 seconds of time because I was really good at this mechanic. That might be a little too much. But yeah, I do want to have something there.
Okay, yeah, perfect. That was the crux of the question, was more in the sense of, are people that have really good horses but spend time only racing and doing nothing else versus people that maybe have slightly less good horses but put massive amount of times in what would be these arcade games, if that would actually help them in the long run. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that's a healthy economy, right? That like there are people that can grind their way up because they're good at the game. I think that's a really good, healthy way to do it for sure.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that and my other question would have been, so I heard you talking about the trust mechanism for wanting to breed with other people's studs or fillies. You guys don't intend to create anything that would help us with that, like,
No.
Okay. So it would only be trust-based.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
Not encouraged, but I mean, of course, there's nothing I can do about it. But yeah, not really encouraged unless there's a whole bunch of trust already built into that, because that's a lot of money to just hand to somebody and hope they hand it back.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Those are my questions. Thanks.
No problem. Okay, Issa, are you back there?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Hey.
Lovely. Hey, what's up, guys? All right. I just had a quick question, and I think it's kind of a question that's kind of on a lot of our minds. So when we go and we use like the Lonely Horses website, and we are able to see like which horses are like a suitable match for our filly or our stud, and then we take like the numbers of these respective horses and we plug them into the breeding previewer. Oftentimes, one of the things that I've noticed, the first thing I notice is that, like, when I go and I look at these matches, unless we're breeding it with some superior horse, we just can't even reach that S level. That's the first part. But then the second part is, when I plug it into the breeding previewer, it seems like a lot of the horses that are matches that don't necessarily fall in line with these top ranked studs actually are a bit more balanced. Is it true that the horses that have the S rank can achieve that by simply having like one or maybe two stats that are kind of off the charts, even though some of the other ones might be not so good?
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of look at it like, we tried to, as best as possible, mimic what the pricing curve in the market had determined, and, we had seen that obviously everyone had priced these top 1-of-1s or the top 10 horses way, way up, then everything else is still very high in the top 100 or 150, and then it kind of levels out. And so, we sort of imagined that, okay, those top tiers, they are the fastest in their core baseline. But in my head, the reason they had the low temper is like they were just found in the wild. They're just like untamed, unbridled fury, and they have all the raw power, but they're like they're assholes or whatever. I don't know. They're just tough to deal with. And then, as you move your way back down, it's just a little bit more of a balance of when you do those matches, you're going to have a much more predictable horse and possibly a longer term bloodline bonus by doing the matching. Whereas as you move up, the rarity is obviously making them faster, but they can't just be perfect. They can't be like miles ahead and win every single race. It has to be a balance. And so that was sort of the idea. The rarity will give them their raw power. And so if you did invest in those top ones, or even if you just got lucky in one of the top, drops, then you still have a leg up in that respect. But then everyone else that's just working at it and trying to trade their way up, they actually have a real solid base to build off of. They're not 15 generations behind, the top people. It can be fair. You could win. So that was sort of the idea that we wanted to balance out that ecosystem at the beginning. And, again, there's a lot of fear or worry about this notion of like, well, somebody just broke it because they're going to use the Astro to breed 200 or 300 fillies. But again, I think that, sorry, foals, not fillies. I think that's going to balance out with all of the other horses that are actually quite well balanced across the grade, and those will all be targeted in one little location. So you never know. Of course, I could be wrong, but that was the idea, if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that helps quite a bit. I think that a lot of us are probably in a position where we're questioning, should we be breeding if we're not, getting the highest possible rank? Is it better that we go on to try and collaborate with somebody else and get the genetics, or is it okay for us to feel comfortable just breeding with what we have and kind of working our way up along the process? Like one of the fillies that I have is a very high ranked filly, but that filly, there's only a stud on the market that has, two attributes that match. Now, with that stud, I can produce an A+, and it's a very balanced Generation 0 horse. However, the question becomes, what's the better play? Is the better play for me to breed that, with only two matching traits? Is the better play for me to, try and market that to the people who are holding, these really high ranked studs and saying, hey guys, look, I got a top rank, come get it for me for an obscene price, so that I can try and get them, so it's just like, I'm just trying to kind of work through how to properly navigate this, because, I don't have a stud that's so high ranked that I would breed it with all of my fillies. But on the same token, I'm also noticing that like some of these studs just aren't very well balanced horses at all. And, like you said, I mean, there are going to be some ramifications for people who are just using the same stud because of the bloodlines and so on. So I'm, just trying to figure out how to properly play it.
No, it's a lot to think about. And, to be honest, of course, I don't know how the market's going to react or what they're going to price things at, and how they're going to, play it. I mean, I think I love when Kamish posts in the threads where he always says, 1 Gen 0 is greater than 0 Gen 0s. I mean, that's the one thing to start thinking about is that, we do get hyper focused on how do we maximize the gain of this first one, of this Gen 0, and making sure that we breed the exact right one. But, they are just like dipping the toe in. They're a very small set. They're going to be the only horses in that system for months, right? I mean, they can't breed. Even if they start breeding right away, the foals still have to grow up. And it's like, what if all the people start wanting to play this game? And, there's only 5,000 and, that's the one to hold. So who cares if it's a B-? If it's got, the ability to win races every day and start breeding and, all the other parts of the real thing that it's like, so, people that aren't going to play the game, I understand. It's like, yeah, you just want to maximize this flip because, you got in early and or maybe you got in late. Maybe you paid 10 SOL for a stud and you're like, okay, I got to get out of this thing with 11. So you're trying to think through the best way to do it. But again, it's just such a long-term strategy. If you do go that route, if you don't want to flip, there's so much more to think about in the breeding. So I totally feel your pain. There's a lot to balance of like which is the best way. That's with all this crypto stuff. It's hard to like time the top is pretty tough. But yeah, I think you're thinking about it correctly for sure. Try and create balanced horses, have as many of them as you can. That's a win. And hire horse racing manager people to run your stable. Hire JP. Whoever needs to announce that they've got JP, that's commission. It would be a big worry for you guys too. Formidable competitor. Okay, let me throw
Thank you.
one. Yeah, no problem. I'll do one more here. The Solana Obama, because I love that. That's a funny. Let's see. There's a speaker. What's the stud bird here? Hey, Solana Obama, are you there?
Hey, what's up, man? Question for you. So I have a bunch of like 4 or 5 trait match stud and fillies, and I'm wondering, like, when it comes time for the game, when the game's out, how many horses can like one person reasonably manage, just at like a high level? Because I can't decide if I have enough or if you would want to get more.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Obviously people's time is different, but at the beginning here, there's not like you have to train them all day, right? You just have to find the races that match them. I'll give the example in Horse Racing Manager. Majority of those top players managed a stable of 8, I believe that's right. And Dingo could correct me if I'm wrong, but they typically would run a stable of 8,
okay.
And that game required a massive amount of effort and tuning and tweaking. And you played at your own pace, but it was really, really hard to manage 8. And they'd be playing for 6 and 8 hours in the day.
Right.
So in this game, if you had 8 or if you had 20, I mean, all you're going to have to do is go find all the races that best match them.
Right.
Which could be a time suck because maybe you've got 3 that are good in the grass, you've got 1 that's good in the mud, you've got 1 sprinter, you've got 1 long distance one. And you're kind of like, oh, geez, when are those races coming up? And you got to sit there and wait. Oh, geez, okay, let's see. That one just opened up. That one's pretty good, but that's low stakes. I need a high stakes one. So there's a little of that you'd have to be babysitting. So, yeah, it's kind of just, up to you, I suppose. But
yeah, no, that's really helpful, though. And I think it answers some other questions I was thinking of around like balancing the traits of the Gen Zero outcomes you have and, how to think about, hey, maybe you have a lower grade horse, but if it's really good with, in mud and is a great sprinter, you might have like a sweet spot that horse wins a lot of races in.
Yeah, that's the whole point, right? I mean, that's how this whole game operates and has been operating for, 3 years, is that sort of like go hyper focus a part of your bloodline and clean up, and make sure that you're there for every single race that is the best for his strengths and minimizes his weaknesses, and then go win. And that's what these guys do. And
super cool.
They're tough competition, but yeah, that's the main gist. And so yeah,
amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, thanks everybody. It's 4:00. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you guys in the suites. If you haven't joined the suites Discord, go check it out. That's our other side project that we've got spinning up that we got a dev team starting to work on. It's not the photo finish team, but it's a pretty exciting little metaverse project, and I think we're going to announce a mint date of that here pretty soon, and hopefully you guys can all get in early and ride it up like you did with the studs. Hopefully it goes up. But then other than that, we'll try and get some new Medium blogs posted up before the holiday next week. This will be our last one for a little bit because we'll be off for the holiday break. But we'll just catch up then. All right. See you.